Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're going to have a Champions League reaction going up today and tomorrow because we've got Champions League this week, which is obviously very exciting. Hopefully, you guys are keeping well. Thanks for watching the channel. We have a video that hits home for me today as an American because I've been so disappointed with the state of the U.S. national team, how disappointing they are for such a major nation in the world, and how much they underperform. With all the incredible athletes we have in America, we have a lot of flawed stuff going on between the youth system, a lot of pay-to-play, like monopoly in that kind of sense that really hinders, I think, a lot of the growth and the development. And, there's a couple other problems, but, we're going to hear today from Landon Donovan, somebody that I met last year, really nice guy, one of the greatest talents in U.S. history for the team. Always wore that badge, always gave it his all. And I'm curious to see what he's going to say. He went on a podcast, which I've actually never watched or heard of. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to upload this because I don't know. Sometimes the podcasts are like annoying. Like, yeah, we're going to strike it. We don't believe in our podcast growing by letting people repurpose it. The internet is weird in that format. But basically, the title caught my attention to watch with you guys. Why the U.S. men's national team is not a legit contender on the world stage, which I agree with. I've said it in many videos. But hearing it from a legend like this, I want to hear some of the reasoning and some of the points that he's going to talk about. So if you enjoy the video, guys, drop a thumbs up. We're going to get right into it.
What do you think of the current state of affairs? Because I just also remember back in 2002, and every single time when men's World Cup soccer comes around, we're all wondering, well, when's it going to catch fire to the point where we're competing at the top level with everybody else at this part of the sport? Where do you feel we're at right
We're
now?
going to find out a lot this summer. But I was just talking to someone. I mean, that 2002, it's funny you bring up that memory. That's the furthest the men have ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that we would have gotten further.
That would have been it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it doesn't have to be linear necessarily, but at some point we would have gotten back there.
Yes.
We have won. Someone told me this the other day. I didn't realize this. In the men's side, we have won one knockout game, meaning get out of your group, knockout game in our history. And that was against Mexico in 2002.
That's it. I knew it was bad. I thought it was like 2 or 3. 1. Oh.
Round of 16.
How we haven't done that since, that really hit me when they said that. That's pretty alarming. And really what it comes, without getting too into the weeds, really what it comes down to is we're not developing players like the rest of the world do.
Why is that? I mean, there's well, I mean, there's colleges, right? I mean, and just in this regard, the only reason why I bring that up first is that, colleges and college athletics and universities are the feeder system for most Olympic sports, right? And that's one of the concerns you have in the world of NIL and people moving around and portals and what have you, and trying to keep up with that Olympic sports might get the first axe for an athletic department, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mentioned that first, and obviously there's youth organizations and things of that nature, but I'll give you the floor on the rest.
No, that's right. And in soccer, it's different because that age group is actually where we do lose a lot of players. They go into from 17, 18, 19, 20.
Right.
Our college system isn't competitive enough to feed into professional soccer. So basically, if you're 16, 17, you haven't made it, you're not on an MLS roster or a first team roster, you kind of fall into this abyss. But the bigger problem is our youth soccer in this country is a disaster. And so you have all these youth clubs, I don't know if kids ever played, or youth sports.
Yes.
Charge crazy fees. It's all about winning.
Guys, in the U.S., I don't know what it is now, but I've heard it's like, I've heard it's like in youth soccer, like at least a couple grand a season in the more competitive academies and stuff, like even all the way upwards to like 10 grand, which is crazy. And what he said about college too, from somebody that played in college, right? The development in college in the higher divisions, which I managed to play Division 1, it's good, but it's not like at the level of you'd be in Europe training with a pro academy or like an MLS academy, right? So a lot of the talent does funnel in and use the college route to get an education, which is nothing wrong with that. But I see that also as a massive issue for the development overall of everything, because you're kind of getting to this point where a lot of these really good players, really good talents, prospects in America, 17, 16, they'll commit to a college, they'll get sometimes a full ride, which is a free education at a really good school, because education in the United States is a joke how much of a scam and expensive it is. So they'll save all that money, but then after that, all of that potential that there was over those next couple of years to develop into something even crazier as a talent, it goes. that person's just done. And if that person gets lucky enough to go through college, maybe they play in a second division somewhere. But that's the problem. You're losing so much talent with the system they have in America with college because it just doesn't, the training regimen, the rules, having to go to 5 classes all the time, it's not set up in a way to train the high talents in the U.S. to prospect to be a pro. And there's a lot of kids that feel the pressure, especially in America, to go to college. It's the culture. You get so bullied in America to like, people look down upon you in a lot of these more competitive areas if you don't go to school. And I think it's becoming more popular now not to go to school because, you know, as it should be, you should do whatever you want if you've got a plan. But I think that's hindering a massive group of players from just like saying, oh, I'm going to try to go pro because it's obviously a big risk. And they don't have that fallback to that education that they could have. So they kind of just settle and then their career is done. But there was a lot of talent. There was a couple of players I played with that were absolutely unbelievable when they came in at 17, 18. And they just weren't nearly as good at 20. There was no development. There was the training and the development enough to keep them consistently close to their level and then just eventually a fall off. I mean, there was one kid I played with that came in and was so good his first year. He was horrible years after that. He just completely forgot how to play. Like, he was so bad after that. So, I don't know.
The kids get left behind because the clubs want to make money, the coaches want to make money, they want to win, and the kids don't develop. And now we're seeing sort of the fruits of that, sadly.
Well, and then going around the rest of the world, as I've been fortunate to do for the NFL, I remember the first game ever in Munich for the NFL that the Seahawks trained at the Bayern Munich facility, and the Bucks trained at the Bayern Munich youth facility. And in many ways, the youth facility was nicer.
That's right.
And I'm like looking around, I'm like, wait a minute, this is to get kids, you know, up to speed.
That's right.
To play.
You know what's interesting? So I played in Germany when I was 17. The guy who coached our under-16 team was like 60 years old and had been doing it for 25 years. He wasn't trying to be the first team coach. Like, he was one of their best coaches, and they wanted him with the 16-year-olds, not with the pros. They wanted those kids developing and getting better.
Right.
And we do it opposite here. The worst coaches are coaching our 8 and 9-year-olds, and they're not learning anything, and they're not loving the game. So it's just totally backwards.
Well, frequently it's also a parent just trying to, you know,
True.
Get out there and coach with their kids.
That's
and
right.
be present
And it's not
for
their fault.
children. No.
And that's okay. But that's not help. I mean, to be honest, that would be better than what you have at most clubs here. Because at least you would, the kids would want to have fun and they would be touching the ball and doing it versus trying to play nice soccer and do what professionals do. That's not what you need at 8 years old. You need to just touch a soccer ball and have fun.
So this is what would you do if you could wave a wand?
Well, I'm going to.
Okay.
This is my next path in life.
If it's just to wave a wand.
Not to wave a wand.
Or to do something about this.
No, I'm not a magician.
Very good.
No, but this is my next passion in life. I want to help fix this. I want to give the game back to kids. Too many kids just lose the game through the parents and the coaches, and it's a mess.
Right. And then, of course, we also need parks, you know, places,
You need
open
access.
spaces.
That's right.
Because that's the beauty of the sport is...
Guys, I grew up going to so many fields that they would lock the goals with chains. They would make it so hard for you to use the open space. In America, it's a big thing, man. Unless it's like a public park, it's all these places you got to pay to permit. It's like, oh my goodness. It really is. The odds are really stacked against people that want to go out and train. I mean, I used to just do it in a backyard, but
give us an open space
and a ball.
Yeah, and we can
right.
you can create a goal out of just, you know, sticks on the ground. I understand that.
Yeah, no, it's true. But Rich, until I was 15, this is a crazy stat. I never once had organized practices more than twice a week, and most weeks it was once a week. Until I was 15, I had one organized training session a week. Now kids have 3, 4, 5. I played in 3 World Cups.
Right.
I was just outside kicking the ball all day. That's all I did. I was developing myself.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thank you.
All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think the points were valid. I think the points made were flawing the system in the U.S., and it's not really changed. Like, I think it's actually only gotten worse because they've been doing these, they do these, like, all these like MLS youth leagues now that I think are even worse than what we had when I was growing up. I thought the format was even better then. I think it's more priced now to play. I think it's more worried about the wrong stuff. Again, as he said, like just team winning instead of player development. It's so much more focused on team. So you let me know what you guys think. See you later.